Hello, this is Jetbuyers, Sandy 150, and this is Module 3, and we are on Part 20. Some of you wanted me to continue showing you how to get the low poly totally constructed. So what I did was I found an earlier save where I had this these edge loops here, which works really well. And so you can see that I subdivided, and I think this will work just fine. So I found this earlier save. We are not going to, this will be part of the high poly, so I'm going to get rid of that. So that'll be part of the high poly. And then on here, I decided to go ahead and actually do physical geometry on here. I think we have the, we can do that no problem. So I'll show you how I got that done. And then we're going to move on to the high poly, and then you'll have your low poly and your high poly completed, and then I'll go into instructions on how to turn everything in. Alright, so we'll just move this out of the way. So I'm going to go back to 0 on that and just move it out of the way. So we can see this is where we're headed. Okay. So we'll select it. It's pretty easy to do. Let's go ahead and go into Mesh and Smooth, and we're going to just smooth it at 1. Go ahead and edit Reset Settings and smooth at 1. There we go. And you can see we're at 1140 polygons, which is too much. We have a poly budget, and that goes over even for a high-end game engine like Unreal 4 right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my edges, and I'm going to get rid of the easiest ones right now, and I'm going to go on into wireframe. Okay, so this is where we want to be. So there's a couple edge loops we need to get rid of. So at the very base, we've got an edge loop here, I believe, that we need to get rid of. Yep. So this one, and then the one above. There we go. And we got to keep the one on the outside here. Okay, so you got one on the outside, one in the front, one on the outside. So let's go ahead and get rid of these guys here, and we'll do that all around. And that should save us some polygons for sure. Okay, Control D or delete. So Control plus delete. And so there we have it. That's kind of where we're at with that. Alright, so we're at 390 faces. So go ahead and pop that back down again. Okay, and let's take a look at that, and that looks good. Okay, so now we're ready to mirror the main points over, and then we'll mirror the secondary. Okay, so anything that is going to be lined up at 0, 0 in the axes, I'm going to go ahead and select. So that piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece will be all mirrored over. The rest of it can be mirrored over in the next session. So we're going to go ahead and select those and do Control 1. And the beauty of this is I can go in here and control this a little bit better, because we have things like this that are really difficult to mirror over. Okay, I think they're slightly at an angle too, which makes it a little more difficult. Okay, so if we mirror over this edge, then we can't really mirror over this one, so that whole face needs to be taken out. So that's not going to mirror over properly. So let's go ahead and take that out. And that probably has got an edge on the bottom of it too as well. So that's not helpful. Okay. We got to be careful what we're deleting. Do not want to delete anything that is important. Alright, so we got to delete this edge and this edge. And we're going to go across here. Just make sure I don't make any mistakes here. Alright, continue all the way down. Okay. Alright, that looks good. Okay. And maybe get this one too. There we go. Okay, so important. All these edges need to be centered. Let's look at this guy right here. Same thing with this. Which edge is going to be welded? So let's go ahead and click on this face here. And that one there. There we go. So that will be welded. I don't know. This is too much of an angle, so that won't work. This one here is all ready to go with welding. Okay. Right. Okay, so this one here we'll do first. It's the biggest one. So how this works is I'm going to go ahead. I have to make sure all the vertices. Oh, I just deselected it. Come on. Select them all. Go into the front view and just do a Control 1. There we go. Now we got them separated. Right click it, and then we select this. Okay, so what if, and this is the problem, what if we have a bunch of these little ones just moved over a little bit this way? So turn off grid snap and move that over this way, and they're just not lined up, and for some reason we just didn't do a good job on that. So what I want to do is I want to snap them all at once, not just one at a time. That would take too long, obviously. So we're going to double click on the move tool. Make sure you hit the W key. Move tool, and go into move snap settings. Now usually retain component spacing is on. You need to turn it off. Okay? And then with grid snap on, see how they're not lined up? I can move it over and then move it back again, and they're all lined up. That's a cool little trick. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one here. Object mode, and we're going to go right click and go to vertex. Okay, and do the same thing with this one. Move it over and then move it back. I know those are done. So those two main pieces will mirror over perfectly. Okay, so these are a little harder. Okay, so let's go into this one, right click over and go to vertex mode. Go into the front view. Let's get a little bit closer, and we notice we do have that issue, that problem. So just select those end pieces, right? Move them over, move them back again, zoom in, perfectly aligned. Okay, down to the next one. So that one's done. Let's go to this one. Okay, so let's go into this viewport, right click over it and go to vertex, right? And we got to do those. Okay, so we're going to move them over and move them back again, and now they're lined up perfectly. Great. Next one. This one's going to be a little harder to do. Click on that one. Okay, so we're going to go in here to this viewport, select on vertices, and see, I don't even know how we can look at that. That is messed up. So I'm going to go to the top view. Maybe this will be a little more helpful. Okay. So these outer pieces, they're so close together, so it's really difficult to make sure we have them selected. So I'm going to actually just make sure I physically see those, and I'm going to hold down the Control and the Shift key and add to that selection. And again, I don't want to select anything other than the ones that are actually going to be mirrored over properly. Now, I can assume that they're okay, but don't ever assume. It's usually wrong when you assume. So let's not assume this time that they are perfectly aligned, otherwise you'll see a gap. And some of you have seen a gap before with the crate and you didn't like it. You either didn't watch my video, okay, or you skimmed over it and didn't get it, and didn't catch it. The whole idea is that you got to make sure that your vertices are in that axes, in the x-axis at the 0. And that's super important. So we're almost done here. There we go. Got that one. Now if I wanted to finish this, I would take this guy and add to it. So I'm going to add to that. That one there. Is there anyone over here? Let's go to the very end. Any rogue pieces that I need to think about? Get real close. I don't see anything. So now in the front view, okay, I can go ahead and move those over and move them back again, and I'll know that they're perfect. There we go. Perfectly aligned. Go to the top view. And they could have been perfectly aligned anyway, but I'm not going to take those chances. Okay, now this one here, got this one left. So I went right down the road. Here's the last one. Okay, for text mode. Okay, so this one, we're just going to select the very top and get right in there. And zoom in, make sure I didn't get any double ones, but yeah, those aren't working right. Okay, so you got a couple wonky ones that wouldn't work. And now we'll move that, snap that over and back again. Okay. Alright, selection mode. Now we're ready to mirror that over. So it's all finished. So I'm going to go ahead and save the scene. And I'm already at 40. You probably had more than that with your saves. If not, then you're not saving enough, unfortunately, and it will catch up with you. Alright, so in here, I noticed this piece right here. That's no good. It won't make, you don't need it, so delete it. Alright, so that's good. Alright, so all the vertices are now lined up. Okay, what do we do now? Well, let's select the whole thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine this piece. Okay? And then we're going to take the this pivot point and snap it. So we got grid snap on, hold down the D key and move it over. Right, so that's good. We're going to delete by type history and freeze transformations. Delete history, freeze transformations. And that helps too as well. Okay? So we got all that done. Now we're ready to move on and go to mirror. So mesh, mirror. Okay, we're going to do it along the negative x axis, and we're going to go ahead and, if we go ahead and reset that, negative x axis, mirror. Okay, so there it is. Okay, did we have any issues or problems with that? I don't know. I don't know what the heck this is. Okay. But yes, it looks good. Okay, so that's our piece. Looks really good. Okay, so now we got to get the rest of it. Right, so we're going to select it, and we should go in here and do delete by type history. There we go. And then we're going to go control 1. Alright, so now we get the rest of the pieces. So I'm going to select all the rest of the pieces that need to be mirrored over. Okay. And there's not too many left, okay, to mirror over. So these need to be mirrored over. So these are a little bit different. If we go ahead and do a combine, okay, and we go ahead and do a control 1, combine to control 1, you'll notice that we need to go in here. And we do have a couple pieces like this. So let's go ahead and select those guys. And hit the W key and snap it. Okay. Anything else? This right here. Let's take a look at that. Which one is that? Is that here? looks like it's this one. Okay, so we need to get that deleted here. Delete, 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 delete. And these vertices here, so I'm just going to pick my vertices myself. I'm going to do it by hand here. These are the ones that I need to do. Get these done. Those have to be in the middle, otherwise it won't work. There we go. So those are the ones that need to be snapped, so we'll go ahead and snap those. So now it will work perfectly. Alright, so now that's done. And so with all this selected, then we can go ahead and move the pivot point to the center. Okay. Hold the D key down and grid snap that. And then we need to delete by type history. Okay. And we'll go ahead and mirror that over. Now that we're ready to go, I'm just going to go Control 1 so we can see the whole thing mirror over. And so hold down the space bar and go into Mesh and Mirror. Since we've already done it once, the second time is no big deal. And there is our completed low poly pistol, completely finished. Okay. Okay, so what we want to do now is probably want to separate these pieces, but before we do that, let's go ahead and select everything. Okay. And let's just make sure a couple things. When you click on the object, just make sure that there's no other duplicates underneath. So I'm going to move that out of the way and then move this out of the way. And you can see that we just don't want to have any duplicates. So you see that there is a duplicate here. So I'm going to delete that. We just cannot afford to have any duplicates anywhere. Just checking everything here. Okay. Right. And just basically click on it and just make sure we don't have any duplicates anywhere. Super important. Okay. Alright, move that back. Just double checking everything. And there we go. Found one. It can be really frustrating if you have duplicates over top of each other. And when you're copying, there's another one. So just delete. Make sure you know which one you're deleting. So just move everything out of the way like I've been doing here, and that should take care of duplicates. They just kind of reside underneath. So I'm going to select everything. I'm going to click on this and go all the way down to about rotate Z and hit 0 and enter, and that'll put everything back together again. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select it, okay, select it, and I'm going to combine it all together. Okay, I'm going to delete by type history, freeze transformations, center pivot. Okay, get all those things done. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go Export Selection. This is really important. Export Selection. I'm going to do Maya Binary Export Selection. I'm going to type in J Byers low poly weapon. Model. There we go. Right? There we go. So that's it. And I'm going to export selection. Okay? It's really important that we do that. And then I'm going to put it in its own layer. So now I'm going to create a layer by itself. Low, all caps, low poly complete, and then put model in there. There we go. I know that's a long word, but that's good. Perfect. Low poly complete model. And I'm going to save this file with nothing else showing. Save scene as. And I'm going to do number 42. There we go. Okay. Now there's no worries because it's an OBJ. You can go in here and select it, and you can separate. If you do that, click off, go back into object mode, and now all the pieces will be separated for you. Okay? Right? All the pieces will be separated for you. Now, those won't separate because they were welded together, right? So you're not going to be able to do that. But these are separated, so you're good there. Okay. So excellent job, by the way. So there is the low poly, and that can be turned off and on. So let's look at the high poly now. High poly finish. Click on that. Turn the rest of these off. Okay. So high poly finish. Again, we want to make sure that everything is selected, and delete by type history and freeze transformations. And we're going to have the same issue here where we need to, before we do anything, we need to make sure that we weld all the pieces, mirror the pieces, the big pieces together. So I'm going to run into the same issues before. So I'm going to fix all those. So I'm going to pause the video. So you need to do the same exact thing with the high poly that you did with the low poly and mirror it over. If you don't know what I did or can't remember, then watch that part again. Okay? Alright, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I did want to point out before I fix that is that I found out that I have duplicates all over the place. So what I'm going to do with Grid Snap-on, I'm going to go ahead and move that over. And you can see all the duplicates. So just delete those duplicates. Just make sure there's nothing else in there. There we go. Oh, there's another one. So there's another one. Okay, that's a good one. That's good. So move it out of the way. Just click it once. Don't marquee select it. And just get rid of all those duplicates. That happens when you use layers, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Okay, there we go. Delete that one. Okay, move that out of the way. Alright, so this one. Yep, got two of those. Okay, move this one this way. You just gotta watch that stuff. It's runs rampant, and it's impossible to fix once you make a mistake. So just make sure you get that taken care of. And that there's one there too. Just make sure there's no other ones. There we go. And that one too. Okay. And double check this one. Yep. Okay. I'm just moving things out of the way. Yep. That one. Okay. Alright. Get back in here. Again, it's kind of a pain, but it needs to be done. Alright. That one's okay. Okay. Just trying to go as quickly as I can here. You do not want this stuff to have doubles in here. All that work you did, and then you go back to... It's going to hurt your texturing is what it's going to do. Just double checking on everything. Wow, 3 in there? Holy cow. And there's 2 in there. Okay, that's okay. How many in this one? Okay, just 1 so far. I got 1 in there. 1 in there. Beware. Okay. I think that's everything. Got everything, all these pieces. Look at that, isn't it crazy? Now how do I put them all back together again? Oh, it's easy. Like we did before. Select all of them. As long as you deleted history and freeze transformations, what we do is you just select everything and hit the 0 key and 0 them out, and they're all put together again for you. Look at that. Right, so that's all done. That was kind of a painful thing to do. Alright, so let's go ahead and select these pieces again that we're going to um, actually weld together, just like we did in the low poly. We got to do it to the high poly. So I'm going to pause the video while I do. Okay, just a word of warning here that because we have edge loops, it's going to make your job a little harder because they're so close together. Again, when you get this close, you're going to have to go in here and manually select those and hold the shift key down. You might even just hold the control and shift key down. Okay. Now once you get those, again, you know how to snap them. Just beware that these edges will be close together. And you may think those need to be together, but don't do that. You got to keep that edge loop right here. Okay? That's super important. Alright. We'll be back when I get it all finished. Okay, with the back piece, again, just a word of warning. Manually look at it before you go ahead and do the snapping thing that I showed you. Otherwise you're going to snap things you don't want to snap. And as you go through these, right, one by one, selecting it, I usually start in the back or the front or whatever. Just kind of go up the line and just isolate it. And continue selecting the vertices and snapping them. Okay. Alright. Alright, so this one here. And this one's harder to do because I think we had to delete some faces here, didn't we? Yeah, we had to delete faces, which is kind of a pain in the butt. What in the heck is going on in here? Oh, we got a bottom piece here that we need to get rid of. That's what's wrong. Be careful. Be super careful when you're deleting stuff like this. Alright, so normally click on the vertex that I know are probably going to be the problem here. We're to see right here and here and all the way across here. So I'm hand selecting these because they're going to be hard to see. Go back. Alright. Here's a little guy right here that needs to be taken care of. Okay, so by hand, not a whole lot of fun, but the results are good. Okay, so we got some pieces that are not working. Okay, hit the W key, snap them over, snap them back, and by golly, they are all lined up. So those will merge perfectly. Okay, it's worth it. It's worth the time to get it right. Control 1, get that back in here. This piece needs to be done. I remember this one is kind of hard to do, and the other one too as well. Control 1 in there. There we go. And in this one, we needed to take out. We need to take out the bottom. Oh, that's lovely. Why did we leave the bottom in? Okay. I'll worry about that later. So that face part right here needs to be taken out. So go ahead and delete those. Okay, there you go. And we honestly don't need the bottom, so I'm getting rid of it. Again, be very careful. In fact, I'm going to go into my painting one and just kind of select these faces. Make that a little bit bigger. Hold the shift key down. And the brush shouldn't wrap around. Paint those. There we go. Shouldn't wrap around. And it did. But that's okay. What we can do is then go in here and hold the control key. Go back. No, not that. Control key. And it should deselect those all the way around. And let's get rid of that one. And just kind of look around and make sure. Alright, there we go. So all those are out. Click delete on that. And look around, make sure you didn't delete anything so you can Control Z back again. Okay, you want to hand select each one of those. Go to the front view. And snap those. Go ahead and hit the W key and snap them over and snap them back. And those are done. Alright, so continue over. Control 1. We got this one left. Alright, so with that one, Control 1. Get in the front view. Control 1, Control 1. There we go. And these probably should be okay, but they're probably not, because we have this edge still on. Okay. So I've got to go in here and I'm going to select all these faces right here. And we have to, because we can't weld, and you'll have this seam if you don't. So I'm going to select all these two all the way down. Okay. And you can see that we've got an edge underneath too as well, so I need to get rid of those two. So I need to do those two on the side and on the bottom edge. I'm going to pause this because I don't want to waste any of you. Okay, I got the entire first two pieces selected and the bottom selected. I'm going to hit the delete key again. You probably want to go in there and just double check, make sure you don't have any other vertices or faces, or excuse me, faces selected. So hit the delete key, get those done. And with that, you need to go in there and select your vertices now, because they're so close together. So I'm not gonna waste your time, but you need to do that. So I'm gonna. Okay, you can see I got all the vertices selected, all across here, and except for this one. Look at that, it's hiding from me. Alright, great. So now select those guys. Now that you did it by hand, you know that when you snap it, it'll snap perfectly. Whoops, grid snap is not on, unbelievably. Snap it back, make sure they're all aligned perfectly. Look at that, perfect. Okay. If you see things like this, just move those vertices back. Click off grid snap. Just move these back like that. Shouldn't have too many issues or problems. The F key to kind of rotate around. There we go. So that piece is done. What else do we have left? I think we're done with the pieces that are supposed to be welded together. So, alright, so great. So now to do that, let's go ahead and select the pieces. Shift select the pieces that you need. Go into object mode. That's important. And let's rotate around. Get all the pieces that we need to have. Let's make sure we don't have doubles. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and do control 1 here, and this one, and control 1 over on this one too as well. Control 1, there we go. You have to hit it twice, there we go. So there it is, and so what we want to do is you want to combine it. Okay, you want to delete by type history, and you want to center, you want to pivot the center at the grid snap. So I'm going to hit the W key, hold the D key, and we're going to actually click on grid snap again and snap it. Okay, and then we are going to mirror it over. So it should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do another delete by type history. That seems to help sometimes with the mirror tool. Go to mesh, and we already have it set up right. Mirror it. There we go. Perfect. Looks good. Let's go control. Let's go ahead and edit or delete by type history again. Let's do control 1, and then let's get the rest of these pieces mirrored over. Did this not mirror over? Oh my goodness. Okay, well that was my fault. Okay, I forgot to put it in. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, so let's go ahead and combine. Alright, let's delete by type history, and let's go ahead and try this again. Control 1, and let's go into the front view, hit the W key and move that over, make sure grid snap is on, hold the D key and move that over, snap it, delete by type history, and let's try it one more time. Mesh, mirror, there we go. This time we got an error, lovely. Okay, I'm not sure what happened with that, but we did get an error, so I have to watch and make sure nothing happens. I'm going to go ahead and delete by type history. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this, hit the 3 key, and see if we can find anything wrong. Turn off the wireframe. And nope, I don't see any gaps anywhere. Usually you see gaps. Not sure what the heck that is. Okay. Alright, so that looks okay. Let's go control 1 again. So I guess I'll ignore that. Usually when you get a red one, you need to pay attention to it. Right, so what's next? These pieces here are next. So let's go ahead and these need to be duplicated over. And that does not. So let's click on that. This doesn't, but this does. Okay, so this needs to be duplicated, so I got that. Well, let's see here. What do we have? What do we need to do then? I think that's it. We do have to finesse some pieces. Like this piece right here will be welded together right here. So we need to fix this piece. So I'm going to move it out of the way, or just kind of just do control 1, right? And get rid of those faces that are going to be connected together. I'll make short work of this, I think. Won't be a big deal. Just make sure you know what you're clicking. Alright, that's good. Go into vertex mode. going to go into my perspective because this is easier. These are so close together. What we need to just select the vertices just on the outside of this and have them snap to the grid. That's the only thing we need to do. So we don't have to do much more, so I don't need to isolate this. So I'm going to go into move, make sure grid snap is on, and move it out and in, and you can see those line up real nicely. And so that's what it turns out to look like. Okay, great. Control 1 again. Alright, so let's select those guys again. Go in here and select all the pieces that need to be selected to mirror over. And we're going to group those, or not group them, but oh, here's another one. Anything else? Just double check everything. Alright, good. Let's go for it. So we're going to go ahead and combine it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go into the front view, hit the W key, and we're going to mirror this over. So we have the bottom too we need to snap. Forgot those little guys in the bottom. Okay, we can't forget about those. Alright, so we have two faces. Let's go ahead and get rid of these faces here. And before we mirror that over, we got to select those points. So go ahead and get those points selected. And the same thing is we're going to go to the side view, and again we're not too worried about it. It's the W key, and make sure you don't have any other vertices selected. It looks like I do. So those are already done. Okay, so I'm going to marquee, just kind of deselect those. Okay, go back into here, and we need to snap those over. So snap those over. There we go. Perfect. So now we are ready to rock and roll with these pieces here. Make sure we have everything, and we're going to do a mirror. Before we do that, we got to center the pivot on the grid line, so go ahead and hit the D key and snap it over in the center. And then we're going to delete by type history. That seems to help a lot. So if you're wondering about how to get your mirrors to look better, delete by type history before you mirror. So now we're going to go into mesh, mirror, and there it is. So I think we got everything. Looks good. Make sure we have all the pieces in place. Okay, I think we do. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to select everything. We are going to combine. Okay, we're going to go ahead and center pivot, delete by type history, and freeze transformations. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and make sure we save scene as, and this will be 43 high poly. Okay, high poly. Alright, great. Save as. Fantastic. Next thing we're going to do is make sure that's selected again. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Export Selection and make sure it's my binary. Go to Export Selection and just find JBuyers Low Poly. Click on it, and we're going to turn that low into high poly, right? And we're going to go ahead and export selection and continue. Okay, fantastic. And in the next video I'm going to show you how to give me a render. So that's going to be in your turn-in folder, so make sure that you watch the videos for turn-in, and I'll show you how to get that all set up. So we'll show you how to do the renders, and that'll be in the turn-in. Alright, congratulations, you guys did a fantastic job. If you want to see what this looks like, hit the 3 key with it smooth, and there we go. Everything is smoothed, ready to go. Looks really great. So far so good. You guys did a great job. Hard surface modeling, a lot of work. Okay, over and out.